Hello and welcome back to another very hard campaign here in Rome Total War. I am so sorry that it has been so long since I've uploaded. It's been over a year, if you can believe it. It has been far too long. I have missed this channel. I check in all the time, looking at the comments. People have left really nice messages saying, where'd you go? Where'd you go? And I'm so sorry. I am back. That is the important thing. Had a lot going on in my personal life, new job, new city. I'll talk about it sometime if y'all are curious. But the important thing is, I'm back. I have plenty of time to record videos, edit, get them uploaded. So I just want to jump into a brand new campaign. Now, of course, we have played as Spain, we have played as Dacia, we have played as Germania, and so far we've not completed any of those three campaigns completely. We did finish the long campaign of Spain, have not completed the entire world conquest, but maybe I will return to those three campaigns at some point and finish them off. But I wanted to just start fresh with a new campaign, something I've never done on this channel before. And surprisingly, that is a Roman campaign. I've never done any of the three Roman houses on this channel. And I have to pick my favorite, not because they're the best, they're probably the worst of the three factions, but I love the Julii. I think it's the first campaign everyone does, because it's the red one, you know, Rome, they wear red. It looks the most like Rome. It's Northern Italy, you're fighting the Gauls. It's just so iconic to this game. And on very hard, it's honestly really difficult dealing with the civil war, all the drama between the different factions, managing their growth. It's a pretty interesting campaign, and I haven't done it in years. So I am really excited to get into the Julii. Let's go ahead and roll the intro credits.
Gods. I hate Gauls. My grandfather hated them too, even before they put out his eyes. Did you think I'd be out here on the frontier without good reason? Yes, Rome needs a strong frontier. No, Rome doesn't need unwashed barbarians at her gates. So, that's why I'm here, the leader of the Julii, to bring Roman order to stinking Gauls. Revenge? That'd be good too. This war against the Gauls won't last long. And when it's done, I've got plans. This is all about power. Power in Rome. Going down that road means dealing with all my rivals. The Senate, the Greeks, those Carthaginian elephant riders, the Scipii and the Brutii families too. After all, the man who controls Rome rules the world. And one day, I will be emperor.
Come on, that is so good. I love the amount of attention to detail they put into the Roman campaigns. So much love and affection. Oh, I'm so excited right now. And as we load in, we are given our first Senate mission. We're going to be getting a lot of these. This is something that I missed in the Dacia, Spanish, and Germania campaigns. You don't get missions. You only get these missions if you're playing as a Roman faction, so we'll have something else to consider going forward. First Senate mission, of course, is to take Segesta. We have 10 turns to do it, and we will be greatly rewarded if we do so. So let's take a look at our starting empire. We want to really take a good inventory of everything before we start moving pieces around. On very hard difficulty, you really don't want to be making any mistakes. First things first, our capital, Arretium. We have a port here, we have a militia barracks, which allows us to train Hastati, which are really good infantry units. Population of 4,000, and we need to get to 6,000 to become a minor city. Population growth rate of 3%. Pretty basic stuff. Ariminum is our second and final settlement. Little bit smaller population of 3,500, doesn't have a port, doesn't have a militia barracks, so it is definitely a little bit more underdeveloped. And we start with 4 generals, actually. We have our faction heir in our capital, Lucius Julius. He is a very good manager. Discount on construction costs, +2 management, +3 management, +3 law. Popular with the Senate, more likely to get elected to senatorial offices. A little bit of command, but really not much to do with command. Mostly to do with taxes, management, etc. So we're definitely going to want to leave him in one of our cities to help it develop. Next up in Ariminum, we have Quintus Julius. He is a little bit more of a commander, maybe good to use for attacking the Gauls at some point. +3 command, natural born general. Confident attacker, +1 command when attacking, lively, extra movement points. Drill Master is a retinue that can be transferred, also extra movement points, so he can go pretty far. Next, our faction leader, Flavius Julius, out in the field here. He's a bit all over the place, has some good standard traits, but honestly, most of his stats come from being a faction leader and just being a little bit older. Not the best faction leader, and he is 47, but he'll do fine. He has retinue, age retainer, +1 management, +1 personal security. So we might want to move that to someone who is going to be staying in a city. Again, retinue can be moved between characters, so we're going to be doing that a lot during this campaign. And finally, we have Vibius Julius, who is 28 years old and is definitely more of a manager type. Understanding of mathematics, merchant, skilled bureaucrat, politician. Those are all really good for someone who's going to stay behind in a city. So it is looking like we will be using Quintus Julius and Flavius Julius as my commanders for battle, Vibius Julius and Lucius Julius as my commanders for staying in our 2 biggest cities. And what we want to do is prioritize the growth of Arretium. As the bigger city with the higher growth rate, I want to get this city to minor city as quickly as possible. So getting it to that 6,000 population, that's going to be one of my top priorities in the early game. And so I guess let's talk about what we want to invest in first as far as purchasing buildings. We've got 5,000 denarii to spend, and we'll get another 5,000 once we take Segesta. So we have plenty of money to spend, and we want to use it wisely. Let's talk a little bit about buildings. So of the starting buildings, we want to prioritize population growth rate first and foremost. At some point, we will want to purchase these other buildings, but they're not as important. We're not really about to be attacked. We don't need to be using Equites or Velites. So I'm happy to kind of ignore these first 3 buildings, and let's talk about trader, communal farming, and the religious buildings. Trader is fantastic because it gives you a 0.5% population growth bonus, and it increases your tradable goods. So it'll make more money trading between cities if we have traders in both cities. And we will invest in that. We want to invest in it mostly for the population growth bonus. We're not going to have that much trade in the early game, so it's not going to make that big of a deal, but we want to get that for the population growth bonus. It's going to be 2 turns to complete that. Next up, communal farming. This increases your income from farming. So it would increase, this turn provided 544. If it was upgraded, it would have been 612. So about 70 more income per turn, but mainly also going to give you an extra 0.5% population growth rate because of the farm upgrade there. And the third option of something we might want to invest in on turn 1 is one of these shrines. So let's talk religious buildings for the Julii. So we have 3 options for religious buildings. The first one is the Shrine to Ceres. At its first level, 0.5% population growth bonus, 5% public order bonus due to happiness. Right away, this is looking pretty appealing. 0.5% population growth bonus, that's something we're prioritizing, especially in Arretium. But let's look at the higher levels. It goes up to 1% and 10%. Basically just ticks up for each of these to 1.5% and 15%. And finally, once it reaches Pantheon level, we receive 10% public order bonus due to law, 35% public order bonus due to happiness, 2.5% population growth bonus. So this will support a much larger city overall. Once we reach that huge city level, having an extra 2.5% population growth bonus will basically increase the upper limit of how big we can get the city before we start having a decreasing population growth rate from health issues that we will have in the city eventually. So right away, Ceres is looking like the best option, but let's look at the other options. Bacchus is really fun because it provides not just the 10% population happiness bonus at each level that goes all the way up to 50% at the highest level. And at the highest level, it does also give you some population growth bonus and public order bonus. So in all, you're getting 60% public order bonus from happiness and law combined, and a little bit of population growth bonus. But the only issue with the Bacchus related religious buildings is that each type of religious building will give different traits to your generals if they spend time in the city that has that type of temple. So if you have a general who spends his entire career sitting in temple of Bacchus cities, he will get alcoholism traits because Bacchus is the god of wine. So at first it's kind of fun because they're not really that harmful at the lower levels, but the really high level drunkard and like insanity traits that generals can pick up from spending too much time around Bacchus kind of end up ruining them. So we're going to avoid that. I don't actually remember what the traits are for Ceres and Jupiter. If you could remind me, that would be really helpful. But I know I want to avoid Bacchus. I always avoid Bacchus, as much fun as it would be to have a bunch of raving lunatics ruling the Julii. Finally, Jupiter. This is more of a balanced approach, a little bit of public order bonus to happiness and law at each level, 5, 10, 15%. Then at 20% at level 4, the Awesome Temple, we also gain the ability of training Arcani, which are a unique gladiator type unit. They're very fun, can hide anywhere, good morale. Gladiators are always really fun, but they're not very useful. They take several turns to train. They only have 64 soldiers. They're not really that good, but they are kind of fun. We might end up building one Temple of Jupiter just to be able to train some Arcani at some point and use them in the battlefield. But at the highest level, Pantheon, 35% public order bonus due to happiness, 25% due to law, 1% population growth bonus. It's just not that good compared to the Pantheon of Ceres with that 2.5% population growth bonus. So at least for now, I'm going to go with the Ceres route for all of my cities. But if you have strong opinions on this and someone has a convincing argument for why I should try out other temple types, let me know before we get too far into the game and I'll try it out. I haven't really played the Romans very hard, maybe ever, at least not a full campaign. So we're gonna be dealing with this for a long time if you have strong opinions there. And so that's the 3 main contenders for buildings to make at first. We have the Shrine to Ceres, the Trader, and Communal Farming. Each one gives us 0.5% population growth bonus. So we're gonna go in increasing order of cost and the turns to complete. We're going to do Shrine to Ceres first, which will take 1 turn. Then we'll go on to the Trader. Then we'll go on to Communal Farming. Across those 3, we'll have an extra 1.5% population growth bonus and extra income, and it'll take us 6 turns to complete. And same deal over in Ariminum. We do want to get that Shrine to Ceres going. I also kind of want to go ahead and get a port here. I always want to have some boats on this side of Italy because Patavium, they will build a port in the next couple of turns, and they're going to start blockading me. They're going to start moving troops around. There will be rebel fleets in this area at some point. So I do like to have some boats over here. The question is, do I take my boats from Arretium and bring them around Italy, or do I train up my own boats over in Ariminum? For now, I'm not going to build a port quite yet because I don't have anyone to trade with. I'll go ahead and just build a Shrine to Ceres for now. And then honestly, there's a good chance that I want to build a militia barracks after that, but we'll see. It depends how I deploy my troops. And I'll explain more what I mean right now. So obviously the first thing we need to do is take Segesta. That is what we've been assigned by the Senate. We'll get 5,000 denarii when we complete that, and it will unlock other Senate missions, which can pay pretty well in the early game. So of course we do want to take Segesta as soon as possible. We really don't need that many troops to do it though. It's very poorly defended, just 2 really weak units in here. So we don't need all of these troops just sitting around waiting to take Segesta. What instead I would like to do is actually also temporarily ignore the Gauls and try to sneak around them, because there are 2 really good cities right here, Segestica, and right down here, Salona. I'm pretty sure on those names. Again, it's been a minute since I played this game. And those 2 cities are super valuable. They have these gold deposits that you can build mines on. They pay a ton of gold every turn. They pay for themselves really quickly. They also have wine up here, olive oil down here, super valuable cities to hold. And I want to get there before my allies, the Brutii, get there, because turn 1, they're going to load up their troops, go take Apollonia, and they're going to push north almost always. So I want to try and get those 2 cities if possible before my allies, the Brutii. So let's go ahead and pick who is doing what. Now, I said that I would be using Flavius as one of my generals, and he is my faction leader, so he's going to have the best heavy cavalry. Let's go ahead and send him over around Patavium to take out these 2 cities. So first off, who's going to be one of my managers? Vibius, you are a manager. I'm going to have you swing by Flavius Julius and pick up his aged retainer retinue for +1 management. That will give a little more income to whatever city I put Vibius Julius inside of. And my other manager was, I believe, Quintus. No, Quintus is my other warrior. Lucius Julius is my other manager, and he has I believe, is he the one with who has better traits for specifically taxes? So that is going to be Lucius Julius. He's better on taxes, so we're going to leave him in the city with the higher population. He's going to be in Arretium. And we will send Bibius over to Ariminum. He will manage that city. Now, Quintus, actually, I would send my faction leader around to go take these cities, but I forgot we already have Lively for extra movement points and Drill Master on Quintus Julius, which makes him a very good candidate for making the trek around Patavium without getting stopped. So I think he actually has to be our Drill Master to go march through Gaul. So let's go ahead and move him over here, and we will also move these Town Watch with him. Now, the reason for that, they're not super useful in battle. We don't really want to be using them for fighting the garrisons in these cities. We want to leave them behind as garrison, though. They're good at keeping the peace. They can defend if they need to. And now for our second commander, we have Flavius Julius. We're going to send him to Segesta, and I think I might just send him with 1 unit of Roman archers. We want to keep the Roman archers in northern Italy, just in case we need to use them for the defense of one of these cities, and I believe between these 2 units, we will have enough to take Segesta. Let's take all the rest of our troops, all of these Hastati. These will all be marched around Patavium. They'll take Segestica and Salona. For now, we're going to leave them right here so I can go have a discussion with the Gauls. I'll move them next turn. And let's go ahead and get the spy moving as well. We want to get our spy up into northern Italy so we can keep an eye on the Gauls, start training him up, get his agent skill moving up a little bit. Hopefully, by spying on a couple of these cities, he'll get a little bit better. He's at expert spy already, which is pretty good, honestly, for a starting spy for subterfuge. So already a pretty good spy. We want to get him as good as possible. Flavius Julius can go ahead and besiege Segesta, but honestly, I don't really want to take it on turn 1 because I don't have any need for the money. I'm not spending all 4,000 of these denarii. And as soon as we take Segesta, we'll be assigned our next Senate mission. And since we kind of have ambitious plans for what we're doing, we don't want to be failing any missions, and we don't want to have to divert from our goal of taking these cities because we have a mission that we have to catch. So I'm going to give it a turn or 2 before Flavius Julius takes Segesta. I'm just going to have him camp out here and maybe just right there. So we can keep an eye on making sure the Gauls don't try and take Segesta. We do want to be the ones to take it for that 5,000 denarii reward. We just don't want to take it quite yet this turn. Next up, let's start moving our navy. There is an argument for leaving 1 boat on this side of Italy just in case we get a mission to blockade the port down here at, what is this, Carolus? But we can always build another boat if we need to in Arretium. Let's, for now, start moving around the boot of Italy. We want to get these ships over here so that we can move this army around once it makes it around Patavium, so that even if we're at war with the Gauls, we can grab that army and bring them back if we need to attack Mediolanium and Patavium. The last thing to do is decide if we're going to train any troops, decide if we're going to do anything with moving population around, and potentially increase or decrease tax rates. So like I said, one of my top priorities is going to be getting Arretium to grow as quickly as possible. So kind of an unconventional thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and move 240 population from Ariminum to Arretium now. I'll be doing this a little bit back and forth probably in the next couple of turns, but for now I just want to do 1 unit. So that's 240 population that we've taken out of the population of Ariminum, and we're going to be sending over to Arretium next turn by disbanding it within the borders of Arretium. Let's also go ahead and decrease the tax rate in Arretium to get that population growth rate going up by 0.5%. Between that and the extra population from that peasant, we will have a good amount of growth next turn. We're going to be doing about 150 population per turn. So in about 10 or 15 turns, we can get to the next level of city, which is exactly what we want. In Ariminum, we can go ahead and increase the tax rate as high as we can get it without going red. We would start rioting, I believe, at 65% public order, but I don't want to risk it. We're going to just keep it at high tax rate so we make a little more money here. We don't want to be losing too much money each turn. All right, nothing left to do. Everyone has moved. Every decision has been made. And let's see how we're looking. We're going to first look at our announcements. Unit recruitment completed. Those peasants, we can go ahead and bring them over from Ariminum into Arretium. And you see our population is 4140 right now. Once I disband this unit, population goes up to 4,380. So just added 240 population. So, I mean, some people probably think that's a little bit cheap. I don't think so. I think it's one of the most fun ways of kind of using the engine of this game to pick a strategy, because every time we take population out of Ariminum, we're slowing down its development and giving it to Iridium. I think in the early game, it's useful to have one city that's really technologically advanced. So getting that population growth rate up a bit is kind of a good idea. Now we have two options for increasing our population growth rate this turn, actually 3 options total. We can get the second level of Temple of Ceres in Iridium for another 0.5% population growth rate and public order bonus. Or we can do Trader, also 2 turns, also gives us an extra 0.5% and gives us an increase in trade income. So let's go ahead and do that one first. We'll do the Trader, and it does increase our income by about 20 or 30, so a little bit helpful, and it's cheaper than the Temple of Ceres, so we'll do that for our next bump to population growth rate. In Ariminum, we have the same decision to make. I'm going to make the same choice here. We'll go ahead and increase our population growth rate by 0.5% by getting a trader, also increasing our trade a little bit. And already we are running into a slight issue with Quintus Julius, and that is that he's blocked by Lugatorix right here. So we're going to have to wait a turn. Hopefully he moves next turn. But let's go ahead and talk to Lugatorix. We want to get trade rights and map information from the Gauls. It is very hard, so they're unlikely to accept this without some additional money. But let's go ahead and offer 100 just as an offering to see if we can get this passed. Once we have map information from the Gauls, we'll know a lot more about what's happening on the world map, and that will give us an easier time getting map information out of everyone else because we'll have a little bit more to barter with. Let's see if they take this. Oh, and they accepted it. So sometimes they deny that, but luckily this time they accepted it. So now we know what's going on in their world. Obviously, they just have their starting cities, but that gives us map information that we can use to barter with other factions. So now let's go talk to the Germans if we can. We'll go ahead and send Sextus Antio up to around here. I believe that's where the Germans are. And we'll try and get map information off of them. Then we'll circle around to the Britons and then go down south, speak to the Spanish and the Carthaginians. Let's take a look at our end of turn report. We lost 1,320 denarii just because we are investing a lot right now. Nothing to be too worried about. We are about to make 5,000 denarii from taking Segesta. Now, unfortunately, really need Lugatorix to move. I could send Quintus Julius up around Mediolanium, but then we risk getting stuck on the hitbox of Mediolanium. So let's just wait one turn, see if Lugatorix moves. And I'm not going to enter into their territory yet. Hopefully that encourages him to feel a little bit safe so he can move. Let's go ahead and spy on Mediolanium with Decius Curtius. See if we can get some retinue or something. No, nothing. We have a 40% chance to open the gates if we do decide to attack Mediolanium at any point. Let's get the spy out of there. We don't want him to get killed just for sitting in that city. And see if we can spy on Lugatorix and then Patavium. The more we spy with him, the better chance we have of getting a fun retinue, either for him or for my faction leader. So that is definitely what we want. Now, do we want to move any other population over to Iridium? Honestly, we're going to hold off for now, because every time we do that, we do spend 100 denarii and we do lose population out of Ariminum. So we'll wait a little bit. We'll save that as an option later if we want to move more population around. Let's check on our biremes, and this is pretty lucky. We're able to get through this little crack here between Sicily and Italy. Sometimes this is blocked up by boats, but we were able to get around that. So from here on out, we should be able to get our boats all the way around to this side of Italy, which is perfect. All right, nothing else to do this turn. There isn't really a lot that needs to be done in these early turns of a campaign. We have a suitable husband for Fadia. Fadia, I forgot to show you the family tree, but I will pull it up in just a second. Fadia is 13 or 14 years old, so she does not need a husband quite yet. Publicly loyal is not bad. 100% increase to cost of bribe, and he is 16. We love getting a 16-year-old general because you can do a lot of development over the years. But since Fadia is so young, we really don't need to be marrying her off to the first guy. We want to wait for someone with some really special traits, some true Roman, something like that, something really promising, and hopefully still pretty young. But yeah, no, we're going to say no to this guy. Let's pull up our family tree. Where is Fadia? Fadia's right here. She's 14. Yeah, we do not need to be marrying her off like that. Now, we have a bit of a question as to what we want to do now, because Lugatorix moved graciously out of the way by moving close to my 2 cities. So this army is pretty scary, 5 units, including a general, and is right near 2 of my cities while I'm planning to sneak past Patavium and take all my troops up here. So I'm a little worried about that. I might have to train up some troops or send some troops back. I think I'm just gonna train up some troops in these cities. And if I need to piece together an army, I can always bring Flavius Julius back and we can fight off Lugatorix if we need to. We do have a lot of heavy cavalry in this region, so that is the best unit in the early game we could handle fighting off Lugatorix. The main thing is we were able to get past him. So let's go ahead and move up to here. But I'm going to walk slowly because I'm ready to hit backspace if there's an army up here somewhere blocking the route. No. Perfect. So we are not quite past Batavium, but pretty close. Next turn will be all the way over here. I really like having Drill Master and Lively. It's really nice getting that extra movement points. Those are not guaranteed on the spawn of this character every time. I've played this in the past. I don't think I've had that before. So pretty good. Will be really helpful for picking up these 2 cities before we get into the next couple of missions that the Senate's going to give to us. Let's go ahead and spy on Batavium just to see what's in here. 4 units, just some warband and some cavalry. Pretty standard for Gaul, nothing too special. Next up, we will go spy on Lugatorix, try and get a little more information about him. He's always pretty good, but yeah, we'll see what kind of traits he has in this particular campaign. Let's take a look at the diplomacy report. Carthage is fighting the Greeks, probably in Sicily, which means that the Scipii will most likely benefit from that situation and take both of these cities soon if these guys just destroy each other's armies. There's elephants over here with the Carthaginians, really good. Hoplites over here with the Syracusans, and I think they have some archers as well. So they tend to kind of destroy each other, and then the Scipii can take all of Sicily, which isn't really what we want. We don't really want our allies to be doing very well. I mean, we're not going to actively go in there and sabotage them. I've seen some campaigns people played on YouTube where they did get in there and really like micromanage sabotaging their allies, and it's really cool. Definitely like top strategy stuff, like forcing people to, your allies to fight manually instead of auto-resolving, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm not going to be doing that because I find it a little bit personally boring, but I will probably try and snipe a couple cities like I am with these 2 cities, get to them before my allies just to slowly kind of grab the strategic landmarks so I don't have to take them back from my allies in 400 turns when we all are fighting each other. Spoiler alert. So yes, we do need to somewhat prepare for that. Let's go ahead and take my fleet and move them a little bit closer. We're just about 2 turns away from being all the way up here by where my army will be, up by Segestica. And we can go ahead and besiege Segesta now. We're moving along quickly. I just wanted to make sure I got across this river before I besiege Segesta. I'm not going to take it this turn just in case they try to attack us. I could easily take it, but we're going to give it one more turn and then I'll take Segesta. We still have 8 turns to complete this mission, so we're in no rush. We'll get that done soon. Let's take a look at our end of turn report. Again, we are spending through a good amount of our nest egg, so we need to be a little bit careful, but it's all investments. It's all worthwhile. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and our diplomat continues his march up north. We have another potential suitable husband for Fadia, also 16, and has publicly loyal plus good commander. Still not good enough, but as you can see, there's a lot of options. They'll come every couple turns. Everyone loves Fadia, so we're going to decline him as well. We're going to wait for something a little bit better. And let's see if we can find some Germans. Not quite yet. We'll keep looking. Now, Lugatorix is eyeing Flavius Julius, which is a little bit concerning. I don't love that. We can definitely take Segesta, but I don't think we can build walls once we take it because this is just a town. Let me see. At the level of town, can you build walls? Yes. Okay, so maybe we should go ahead and take this and try and build walls before Lugatorix is able to attack. So we'll do that this turn. Since Lugatorix has moved on, let's actually use this spy and see if we can get him into Segestica and Salona and try and get the gates open so we can take those cities a little bit quicker. So we're going to get Decius Curtius over here. Unfortunately, our path is blocked by this rebel captain, but it'll be a pretty easy army to finish off. And actually, he moved out of the way. I could fight these guys, and that would be no problem, but it would just take time and we'd take some casualties, and we want these troops to be as fresh as possible because they're not going to be able to be repaired once we take these cities. These are very tiny cities. We just want to hold on to them, but we're not going to be able to necessarily repair these troops. So let's move these troops on, and next turn we will be able to reach Segestica. Already, the Greeks and the Carthaginians have a ceasefire. And wow, actually, the reason that is because the Carthaginians took Syracuse. I feel like you almost never see that. They definitely just auto-resolved with their elephants and won that. That's kind of shocking. Good for the Carthaginians. Hopefully that means that the Scipii will have a harder time taking them out. It's good that they made peace because now there's the Greeks and the Carthaginians and they're coexisting here. They won't kill each other. So hopefully that will slow the Scipii down slightly. But that is not what you expect. Usually, because Lilybaeum is such a tiny town compared to the very well-developed Syracuse, you don't often see Syracuse being taken by the Carthaginians. We completed the traders in Iridium and Ariminum, so it's time to make our next purchase decision. For Iridium, it's pretty easy. We are still prioritizing population growth rate. So it's going to be the Temple of Ceres level 2. That'll give us an extra 0.5% population growth rate. And, that would be as opposed to communal farming, which would take 3 turns for the same 0.5% population growth rate bonus. So we're going to go ahead and do that in Temple of Ceres. Get us up to 1% population growth bonus from this building and 10% public order bonus due to happiness. We're going to leave the tax rate at low for now. And in Ariminum, at this point, I would like to purchase a militia barracks because I want to be able to build troops here in case Iridium gets besieged. Iridium is currently the only place we can build Hastati, which are our best unit. So I'm a little worried about not being able to build Hastati in Ariminum. That might be more important than the population growth rate bonus in Iridium. Let's go ahead and cancel the Temple of Ceres here in Iridium. And instead we will build a militia barracks in Ariminum. And that kind of wipes out the rest of our money. So we need to raise some money. Let's go ahead and raise that tax rate actually in Iridium for just a couple of turns, just to get a little more income coming in. Yeah, it's a difference of 500 denarii a turn, so that does definitely make a difference. We'll do that just for a few turns, and then at some point soon, we will go ahead and bring that tax rate down again, and our population growth rate bonus will go back up. Yeah, the end of turn report not looking great. We're just spending so much money on army upkeep. That's the main thing we're spending money on. Let's go ahead and take Segesta before Lugatorix is able to attack us. Again, it's just a unit of warband and a unit of peasants, and we have Roman archers and our faction leader with all his heavy cavalry. Should not be too difficult. Now, these are 2 excellent units. Roman archers, this is like our special unit that we're given at the start of the game that we will not be able to train for a while. Most people do not get Roman archers until pretty late in the game. And actually the reason I'm focusing on developing up my capital so much is so I can get to a minor city and build an archery range so that I can build more of these archers. But yeah, if I take any casualties to these guys, they're not getting repaired until like 20 more turns down the line, and they're really, really useful, especially fighting the Gauls. So I want to hold on to them as much as I'm able to, but we do have 87 heavy cavalry, which is crazy. So yeah, not too worried. Hopefully they leave the city center and try to charge us, because then we'll have a really easy time with this. Let's go ahead and deploy our troops. I'm going to use my cavalry as a distraction as much as possible and try and just keep the enemy dancing within range of my Roman archers so I can get some shots into them. And then at some point, once their morale suffers a little bit, I'll just charge them with the cavalry and they should break. This really should not be too difficult of a battle at all. They don't want to fight, which is understandable. I wouldn't either if I was them. 87 heavy cavalry is always scary. I never want to fight heavy cavalry. Okay, are we almost in range? We are in range. They're going to go ahead and start firing now. Get a couple shots in on this warband. They're starting at 241, and they take a good amount of damage. So hopefully that draws them out a little bit. I'm going to turn off skirmish because I would rather manually skirmish. Let's go ahead and walk this general back a little bit. No? Okay. Keep him nearby. We're just going to keep firing as long as we can. This is perfect. The enemy are just kind of hanging out. And run. Okay, they're going to divert to my general. I'm going to walk him out. And then when they get close, I will run him out. Are they going to charge or they're just going to walk? All right, go ahead and fire a couple more volleys with the archers. And we're just going to get ready to run if we need to. Let them get a little bit close so they feel like they can catch us, and then we run. And then we walk. And then we run. And in this way, we're able to shoot the side that doesn't have a shield. So they're going to take a lot more damage. They do take more damage based on where you shoot them. So these guys are taking a lot of damage right now from my archers. Down to 160 something. Let's make sure we're not about to get charged by the other unit. No, it's on the city center. So yeah, these guys are isolated. They're at half health. I could charge them and finish them off right now. But I want to get some more damage in with my archers. If we're able to get a chevron of experience with these archers, that would be perfect. That'd be a great result from this first battle. Let's go ahead and run. Don't want them to get caught. No need. But also, we're not actually going to charge with my cavalry. We're just going to get them nearby. We should be slightly faster than the warband, but kind of doesn't look like it. Okay, they're turning. Good. So we can go ahead and fire a few more rounds with the archers. We want them to try to charge at us, and not vice versa. And perfect. They are taking a ton of damage. Wavering already. So we are really just farming experience right now. This is unnecessary, but if I can get to a second chevron, I will be very happy. I'm just speeding this up now because really no need to watch this in slow motion. If they try to charge either of my units, they'll break. So just get some more kills in, and then we'll fire at the peasants, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, we'll go ahead and run down these couple of warband. We're out of arrows with our archers, so we can send them off. Don't want to take any casualties now that they're out of arrows, and we will just go ahead and honestly charge the city center, kill these peasants with my cavalry. Shouldn't be too difficult. There we go, got the enemy general. No? There we go. Perfect, okay. Now, let's go ahead and draw up here. They're shaken, but they're fresh. Our guys are fresh as well. We will go ahead and charge in, and I'll use battle cry just in case to keep my general at the back of the pack. Just in case, we don't want to lose him fighting peasants. All right, go ahead and charge. And then we will have him rally troops. So he gets to the back of the mass, and he's going to get in there, and they should do a lot of damage here. These peasants are not very good. They have like 1 attack, 1 defense, maybe 4 attack, 1 defense. Depends on the type of peasants, but definitely cannot keep up with the general's unit. Enemy are down to 148, but I don't want to take too much damage to my general's unit, so I'm going to pull them back. We'll get a charge in, and hopefully they just charge after us. If they do, then they'll break as soon as they step off. But let's give them a chance to do that if they want to. No? Okay. Go ahead and charge in one more time. We will rally troops one more time. Keep my general nice and safe at the back. And that's really all I care about. I can take casualties as long as my general doesn't die. So let's keep an eye on him. And as soon as he gets in danger, we'll pull back. Of course, I would never tell him that I'm making him be such a coward, but he thinks he's being very brave right now. He's like, no, I'm in the thick of things. But no, I'm not going to let him fight. And we're pushing them off. Once they're all pushed off the city center, they'll break, and then the battle will be over. Or we might just run them down. There we go, battle won. Go ahead and get the last couple kills. And done. Go ahead and end the battle. Perfect, so we took casualties technically, but they're just general's unit cavalry, which recovers immediately. So we took no casualties, got the city, and now we get our 5,000 denarii. And we are going to go ahead and enslave the populace, not necessarily to move population around. I mean, it doesn't hurt to move some population to Iridium and Ariminum, but honestly, we will end up moving population back to Segesta soon. The reason we're going to go ahead and enslave is because it gives us this trade resource right here, which is slavery. When you have slavery as a trade resource, it gives you a population growth bonus of 0.5% for you and any nearby cities, specifically bordering cities that have roads, I believe. So let me see if we have it going on here yet. No, we do not. Iridium is not getting that population growth bonus from being next to slaves because Segesta doesn't have roads yet. So this turn, we'll go ahead and build a wooden palisade. Next turn, we will build roads, and then we'll be trading slaves between these two cities, and they'll both have a population growth rate bonus. So that's pretty cool. And I think these hang out for 20 turns. Yes, 20 turns. After 20 turns, these slaves will disappear. But since we'll have a wooden palisade at the end of this turn, Lugatorix won't be able to sweep in and take Segesta right away. So that's pretty good. Still a little concerned about this whole part of the world as far as defense. So I'm going to build 1 unit of Hastati and Arretium. And what was I going to build? I was going to build the Temple of Ceres. And now I have the money to do that because of the Senate mission. So now we can build a building in Ariminum and Arretium. So yes, Senate mission successful. And next turn we will get a new Senate mission. All right, let's go ahead and move our fleet. We could stop by these pirates on the way and do a little damage to them. If we successfully defeat them, they'll be sunk immediately because they're rebel units. But if we lose, that's kind of embarrassing. I'm going to try it. Oh, no, these are the better. Well, yeah, I lost that. Okay, that wasn't a good choice. I didn't realize they would already have these better pirate ships. I thought they would have the little cogs. I should have checked that before I attacked them. But hopefully we can still sneak our fleet by, get around them so that we can have these ships up here for transport. But that might have been my first mistake of the campaign because I could lose the fleet and then I won't have any way of getting my fleet up here to pick up my units and bring them across the water to Ariminum. So I'll need to be a little bit careful now. But let's go ahead and end this turn and see what our new mission is. Take Patavium. We have 10 turns to do it, and we will be rewarded with 1 minor exotic unit. Okay, that's not too bad. Sometimes it's Mediolanium, which is a little bit harder with this plan, so that's not bad at all. Now, the only issue is we have 10 turns to take Segestica, Salona, and get our troops back up with enough strength to take Patavium. So we need to be a little bit smart about how we do all of this. Let's start with Segestica. Where are you? There it is. Okay. So we have a 40% chance of just opening the gates when we attack. If we get that, then this will be easy. Because there's 3 units in here. We really don't need that many troops to take this city. Let's see. So we can take this in 1 turn. Run down here. That'll take about 3 turns. Turns 4 and 5, we are taking this city. And we have 5 turns to make it back here and take Batavium. Or we split the army now. Maybe we do that. I think that makes this work out. So we take these 3 units, which we can use as a garrison in Segestica. And then what do we need to actually take the city? We have 3 units here. Let's take 3 units of Hastati. And this will be my army for taking Segestica. And we got the gates open. That is perfect. So we will take Segestica this turn. This army with our drill master general, we will march south and start working on getting down here to take this city. I think this works out, especially if we get our ships up here and we can transport our army by water. This will be totally possible. So let's go hide up here. Hopefully we don't lose this fleet. We just need to get here. How many turns is that? 2 turns. Okay, I think this is possible. We'll go through our announcements, take a look at things, and then we will take Segestica. So yeah, this is what happens as part of the alliance with the Scipii, the Brutii, and SPQR, the 4 factions of the Romans. If one of us declares war on any faction, everyone else declares war on that faction as well. Kind of a helpful thing for whoever declared war, except we get the bonus as the player character that we don't necessarily have to join in on that. So because the Brutii are at war with Carthage, the Scipii and SPQR are also at war with Carthage. I don't have to be at war with Carthage though. So I can kind of stay out of trouble while they all are fighting around. Kind of a nice perk. We profited last turn, but only because we received that cash infusion of 5,000 denarii from the Senate. So yeah, our economy is still a little bit in free fall, but taking all these settlements will help out with our economy. We completed our wooden palisade in Segesta, and Lugatorix is just kind of marching south towards Rome. Hopefully he's not about to take Iridium. Hopefully he just, I don't know, attacks these SPQR armies and gets himself killed. That'd be great. But let's go ahead and build those roads I was talking about. That will give the population growth bonus to Iridium. We won't see it here until next turn, but we'll have a population growth bonus here next turn. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the tax rate all the way up in Segesta, just because there's no difference between 3.5% and 1.5% population growth rate when we're talking about 493 people in the city. It matters much more for a bigger city like Iridium, so we may as well get our money out of Segesta. Speaking of, we have a little bit of money, so I'm going to bring the population growth rate up by decreasing the tax rate in Iridium. Gonna lose out on about 500 denarii a turn, but it does increase our population growth rate by 1.5%, which is like 60 population per turn. So since we're trying to get to that 6,000 population mark, I think it's worth losing out on a little bit of money so that we can grow Retium to a higher level. And we did complete the Sestati inside of Retium, so we have an okay amount of troops in northern Italy if we need to fight Lugatorix, but it would still be a little bit scary. So next up, and I think the last thing to do for this turn, is try to take Segestica. Not our best army, but also not the best enemy army. These troops are interesting because they're technically a missile troop. They're not an infantry troop, but they're pretty similar to Estati. They have a melee attack of 8, missile attack of 10, total defense of 9. We have slightly better defense, slightly better offense, like melee attack and defense with Estati, and I think slightly worse missile attack. But they're fairly similar. We just have the advantage of being an infantry unit, so we don't have the like annoying skirmish mechanics that can make missile troops not that good. So let's go ahead and fight this out. Hopefully this isn't too bad, but morale might be an issue. So we're starting out in the fog. Let's wait it out. There we go. That's a much better day. We don't want to be fighting in the fog. We want to know what's going on. And I'm just worried about morale because when you have a lot of missiles and no general and these really crappy troops, they can break super easily. And once one unit breaks, the whole army can break. So we have a couple of different options. We could send the town watch up as like bait to bait out all of the missiles and then send in the real troops. But that would cause morale issues. We could have a break, which we could be dealing with the rest of this battle. And also, we can't really afford to be throwing away population by just having people die. So I think a better approach would be to just jump straight in with the Hastati and the Weletes, and then we'll just keep the town watch behind them as moral support. Troops are aware of who is around them, so these guys in the front are going to feel much better if they have 500 people standing behind them, even if they're our worst troops. So there's kind of an advantage to having your best troops at the front sometimes. The disadvantage, obviously, is also there, which is that they're going to be taking a lot of missiles, and they're our most valuable troops. So that's not great, but we're going to have them have fire at will enabled for their javelins and for their pila, and then our Weletes, we will have, of course, fire at will. We're also going to disable skirmish mode for our Weletes, because we want them to stand and fight and throw all of their missiles, and they don't really need to be running from Illyrians because they're a very similar type of unit. So looks like they are opting to defend the gates with only one unit, which is perfect for me. Let's try and move this whole formation as quickly as possible up to the front gate and see if we can get some javelins in before the rest of the troops are here. So we'll go ahead and sprint, and let's see. So once everyone's in position, we will hit the stop button so that they all queue up their javelins. Boom. And let's see who can fire. We have basically everyone firing. This is good. We want to just take out this unit as quickly as possible before they're able to throw all their javelins at us. We're taking some casualties for sure. They're showing their weak sides to us. So yeah, they're just running around. They know they're not doing well here. So we've used most of our javelins, but we've taken out half of this unit, and that's one of their 3 units. And we've taken the gates. So that's a pretty good start. Let's go ahead and move in with our 2 freshest units of infantry at the front. Well, no. We'll move in with this unit that's taken some casualties, because if we're going to take some more light casualties, I would rather it's this unit. We don't want them to be the front line when we charge in, because we don't want them to break. But if right now these Illyrians turn and run over and try and throw some javelins, I would rather they beat up on this unit a little bit. Next up, let's go ahead and get this unit of Hastati inside the gates. We're going to speed up a little bit while we're doing this, just nice and slow. We want to take a little bit of this city space. Let's go ahead and get the other Hastati in here. Let's get the Weletes up to here so they can throw javelins in if needed. Once these guys start firing missiles, we're going to charge in. Honestly, they're charging and they're shaken, and this is their weak unit. So they're wavering, they're going to break immediately. Let's just see if we can kill as many of them as possible. We don't want them to escape. They broke immediately. Let's just cut as many of them down as possible. And we don't want to pursue. We don't want to get hit by too many javelins. Honestly, though, yes, we do want to pursue. Let's go ahead and pursue right now. And the reason for that is that now there's going to be a penalty to the morale of the nearby units because of this unit that is broken. So go ahead and chase. Let's get our other units of infantry in here. I don't love how slowly these guys are moving up the street. Can we get up there and fight? There we go. That's better. They're steady for now, but once they really start fighting, they're not going to be so happy. Okay, guys, can we just run? This is the frustrating thing that happens sometimes. We just have a pathing issue. So I'm getting them just in and among the Illyrians, and then I told them to fight, and hopefully they'll stand and fight a little better. But we definitely have some morale issues going on. Steady, shaken, steady. Okay, things are getting a little better. The enemies are not super happy, which is a good thing. They're surrounded a little bit. They're not really able to throw their javelins. I think they're trying to run, but they're not really running well either, so hopefully we cut down a bunch of them right here. And they are throwing javelins in, which is frustrating. Can we get some javelins in? Maybe on these guys? Okay, perfect. We have 1 break. This front unit has broken, which means the other unit is also likely to break. Let's go ahead and get in here. Try and do some damage. We are definitely winning. It's just if we have 1 break, this could go really poorly. So I'm not getting comfortable yet. Another break, and we're just going to continue pushing them to the city center. Now the issue is once we make it to the city center, they will stop breaking, which means we actually have to win and not have any breaks of our own. So we can break on the city center, but they can't. So we want to kill as many of them as possible before we make it to the city center. Luckily, they're pointing the wrong way. They had their javelins out, but they were pointing the wrong way. This is their strongest unit. This was their full strength 160 unit that has their commander in it. And I don't really know what they're doing. They weren't able to throw any of their javelins. I'm going to use the battle cry because I saw shaken on one of my units of Stadi. Yeah, they're at 87. They're not super happy. If we get a break here, it's going to be really bad. I just... Unfortunately, this is the issue with very hard, very hard. Even when you clearly are winning, you can just have these morale issues. I really hope we don't get a break. I almost want to try and pull this unit back, but also as soon as you try to pull a unit back, they tend to break faster. But there we go. We have breaks happening, so we need to retreat. We need to just retreat, get everyone outside the city, and hopefully they'll reform. But no, just like that. Even here with this much of an advantage, we'd killed more than half of them, and we lost. Really frustrating. So yeah, so that's a reality of this difficulty, unfortunately. Where did they go? That is the question. Did they disband? Did they disband? That would be really frustrating. I think they disbanded. That's crazy. Okay. Now we have a really difficult decision to make. This is how y'all know that I do not edit out mistakes in these games. It would be so easy for me to just restart this turn, but I'm not going to do that because I enjoy the difficulty. I enjoy the challenge. Man, that was tough. We have to decide now, do we take Salona and Segestica later and just try our best to hold on to that? Or do we give up on Salona for now and accept that the Brudii are probably going to take it? I think we have to just take Segestica at this point. Because we need to swing back and take Batavium. We don't have enough troops to hold both of these cities. And Segestica is a much better city than Salona. The mines are better than Salona's. We'll just have to get back here at some point and try and pick up Salona. But yeah, it is going to be really frustrating to see this city as green for the rest of the campaign instead of red. But you got to make trade-offs. With that in mind, let's go ahead and build some Hastati in Arretium and in Ariminum as soon as we're able to. We're going to need them. We're going to try and bring our fleet around here and ferry troops over. Maybe there's some way we can still hold on to Salona if we're really quick and very clever with our resources. But, ooh, what a first part. Not how I expected that to go. I really thought we were going to win Segestica, run down and take Salona, and just have a great start to the campaign. Still a good start to the campaign, I would say. But not perfect. Definitely not perfect. At least our economy will be a little bit better having lost all those units. We are projected to profit 600 denarii next turn, so we took care of the problem of us having too many units for us to be able to afford. But yeah, gonna be a little bit difficult to take Batavium and Segestica and fight off Lugatorix next part. Oof. All right, let's see if we can at least find the Germans. We found the Germans. Can we get map information off of them? No, this is what I was talking about. Sometimes they make you pay 2,400 denarii for map information. Crazy. We're not doing that, but I will try and just get trade rights off you. There we go. Crazy. Anyways, I think that's a great place to end this part. And it is so like me to end episode 1 on just a preposterous loss. But I mean, that's part of the fun of very hard, very hard. It wouldn't be fun if it was easy. We've had that problem in the past with some campaigns where it was just too easy. Probably not going to be the case this time. But we'll see. I mean, Rome is not typically the hardest campaign, but you never know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you used to watch my old videos, thank you so much for clicking again, despite me abandoning y'all for the last year. If you really want to see a return of any of the campaigns that I didn't finish, let me know. But I'm really excited about this campaign. Hopefully y'all are too. I've avoided playing as Rome for the longest time because there's kind of a perception that it's an easy campaign because you can just spam auto-resolve with legions. At some point, that is somewhat true, but I still think it's really fun dealing with all the Civil War dynamics, and you just get so much more content playing as the Romans because you can have more complex cities, and I like playing with legionaries. But yeah, I hope y'all have been well. I'll see you next week.